All right, guys, we have a special edition of Courageous Conversations. We have two former and lifelong Bobcats with us today. I'll let them introduce themselves and talk about their love for hope and where they'd like to see us go in the future. Fellas, introduce yourselves.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm Joe Purvis. I graduated in the class of '64, played on the last football team I played on was the '63 bunch. We won the state championship, AA. At that point, I played with Randy's older brother, George. He and I grew up together and have been buds since time immemorial.
Yeah, and I'm Randy Wright. I graduated in 1971, and as a Hope Bobcat, I had the great fortune of, in 1969, experiencing the unification of our schools and Yerger and Hope High together, and we had a great experience and enjoyed every bit of that. It was amazing to be able to get to know kids that you grew up with that you didn't know until you got to be a junior in high school, and it was great. And that I always will remember that as part of the Hope School experience. It was just great, and so I'm just glad to be a Hope High School graduate.
Well, that's clear. That comes through in every conversation that I have with you two, how proud you are of Hope and to be alums from Hope. So let's talk about some of those great times. What do you relish the most about your time as a Hope student, or just Hope in general? What really makes you feel?
I just think, and I've had partners and folks that are not from here that I've known that laugh at me, but I've just said, look, I grew up in the perfect place and time, and I thought it was a perfect world. There were ups, there were downs and stuff like that, but it seemed like that we truly had a community that people cared what happened to other people's kids as well. We had, I was lucky, and I think Randy was too, in that when I came up, we had very strong athletic teams in all fields, basketball, football, good baseball teams, track, whatever, and it made for a terrific city spirit, really. But the whole atmosphere of Hope was just fantastic. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, it was such a good part of growing up in Hope to be a part of the school system in Hope. I could walk to school or, catch a ride sometimes and just enjoy being in the classroom at Hope High School and Hope Public Schools, having the opportunity to have great teachers that were lifelong teachers of things that I needed to know as I furthered my education.
Well, you both are very accomplished professionals and just men in your own right. Talk about your development and how Hope has played a role in that, becoming who you are today.
I think when I started, and I went to Hendrix College up at Conway, and I was a little apprehensive when I started because there were people from the various Little Rock schools and other places out of state. Didn't take me long to realize at all. My education was every bit as good as any of those people had, and I felt like, hey, I'm ready to compete with anybody, and I certainly never felt second best or slighted or that I'd been cheated in any way.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that, Joe. I had the opportunity to go to college and then to law school just like you did, and felt well prepared. I mean, I didn't have any doubt there about how I was going to perform because I knew I'd gotten the foundation from Hope High. And I had 4 kids graduate from Hope High School, and they are college graduates. One from law school, one has a PhD in Latin American history, all with good foundations from Hope High School.
So those are some of the wonderful things, the things that stick with you. What are some things that you wish were different? If you just had to think about maybe some areas where we could improve as a system or as a community, what would you say would be areas of growth?
I look around now, and I think that you pretty much just started your administration, but I think one of the things as an outsider that lives in Little Rock that has disturbed me is that for whatever reason there doesn't seem to be the public confidence in the school system that was certainly there when we were there. I mean, when we were in school here, there was no question but that the entire community was back in that school. And I remember one year, in my sophomore year in high school, we didn't have a very good football team at all because we had about 3 seniors and everybody else were juniors and sophomores in the class behind us had a great group. And so that one year, our football team wasn't very good. But the people in town seemed to know, look, you had a spell where you didn't have much support. But the people in the town backed you. The teachers were great. There was this community of spirit. It was a can-do feeling that, look, we can do anything we want to. We're as good, if not better, than anybody.
Yeah, and that takes doing that takes involvement of adults in the school system to be a part of it. I did not think my children growing up in the Hope Public Schools had any problem because there were adults that were involved in their education in the community, helping them involved. And that's the key thing that we've got to continue to understand. We need people involved, whether you have kids there at that school or not. They need to be a part of the school system because our school produces the people that will want to stay here and provide the jobs and the opportunities and the businesses that we need in a small town.
So you've learned and been a part of some of the conversations we've had about the next steps, like where we're going the next couple of years and what we're trying to get off the ground. So can you talk a little bit about how important that connection is between the community and economic development and the school system?
Look, I'll jump in here too. I think what you have, my perception of it certainly, is that there's a lack of confidence rather than a lack of something that's proven here. If people put their trust in and if they back what they believe, if you back your kids, if you insist on a certain degree of competence from your children and a certain degree of standards, and you follow that through, then everything else is going to blossom from that. But I think the key to any community surviving is you've got to have a good, successful public school system that people have trust in and will truly educate the kids.
I'm excited about the future of public schools for that reason. I think there's a renewed interest and involvement by people our age in the school system. When I was a circuit judge involved with juveniles in the system, those kids just needed me or someone to be involved in their life and ask them questions about concern for them. And that's what we need to do as a community, be concerned about our kids enough to be involved with them.
Yeah, well said, both of you. Last question, I'll get you out of here, okay? What message, if you had one message to give to any viewers, whether they're classmates of yours or just people in your general age bracket or younger folks or folks who might even have their kids in the system right now, what would you say about hope and about our school system?
I'd say you gotta have confidence. You gotta put your money where your mouth is. This is where the rubber meets the road. Get involved. Help. You prime the pump. It's each generation's responsibility to leave something a little better than they had for the next coming generation. And that's it. And I think people need to get involved with this school system. I think we're about to enter on a magnet program that's going to be unlike anything anybody's ever seen, and I think going to take this district to levels it's never seen.
There's no other school district in the county that enables students to operate at the top of what their level they want to operate at, wherever it is. They can get an education, they can get college hours, they can be 2 years into college when they graduate from Hope High School, they can get a trade certificate that'll make them employable immediately. All of those things are positives for people that get involved in our school system.
Gentlemen,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Hope Public Schools, we're all in.